Yeah, so we haven't gotten to see Dark Avenger today. They've got no one to hold them in their Sky for take on Sky Craig. They're up
Ooh,
against
nice.
PD. PD's working with that Elysian spells deck, so little light on the time portion of the Elysian package. They're gonna get to torch that Dural Ascending, and then they're gonna know when to hold him here. They're gonna pick up a Jotun Hurler. It'll be locked out, but they'll get the snowball now. So getting some value here.
All right, to draw that torch here. Looking at the torch on top. Now, PD, we did see, or we caught at the very tail end of round 2, PD on that Elysian spells deck. Another copy of Torgov's Wares. So got the spells, but don't really have the, the units necessarily to go with it. Fire off this Royal Decree with an Onslaught.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision to go for the onslaught. It does sort of open them up to attacks on the way back from that plunk, but they wanted to get the onslaught to remove all the copies, and it's going to get rid of the crafty occultist. That's a pretty good, smart play. Figuring out sort of something like that was likely going on after they saw the no one to hold them pick up a fate card. So Dark Revenger could use maybe like go like Snowball plus Torch to kill the Genev Merchant, but it's not imperative you do that right now.
Plunk's going to hit. It's always a good start to your turn. Drawing a Howling Peak Smuggler. That's a pretty good draw for Dark Revenger as well. Toss
Yeah,
this Jotun Hurler away and get something for it.
they are going to snowball the Genev Merchant to insulate themselves from the Aegis for next turn when they want to torch it to get out of the way. PD, interestingly, did not play any of the. Oh my! Right, they
have
still
no
haven't hit
influence.
time.
They don't have any time.
Wow. So
I
they
know. I
can't
saw
even
that at the
pause
same
for
time. Yeah,
reflection.
they can't pause for reflection. They can't play the Wump because they have no time influence. Jack's gonna hit that. Uh-oh, PD's in trouble if they don't draw time right here. You could almost say they're out of time.
You could. So they pick up another power that'll let them pay off some of the debt from Plunk. They have two the primal etchings, but they can't go into
Primal
the market. They
etchings
don't
can't
have a
go to the
unit.
market. Yeah,
That's brutal.
yeah. Fortunately, that happens sometimes. Another copy of Plunk. Dark Revenger. How much with that smuggler? That's 12 face damage in hand, right?
Right.
I mean, Dark Revenger can just end it next turn. You literally have lethal next turn.
And meanwhile, they're just drawing a ton of cards here from these units. Yeah. Just a
Destructive Flictor. That's just game. Dark Revenger's got game 1. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes that happens. Dark Revenger going to take game number 1 there over PD.
Yeah, so we joined just a minute into that game. They did have a Dural ascending early, and you saw they had 6 primal influence with only 4
Hmm.
max power. So a lot of that draw for PD was probably predicated on the strength of Dural ascending plus primal symbol. But the strength of the Skycrag archetype is they do have a lot of ways to kill cheap units, and the Dural ascending bit the dust early, and then Plunk was able to do what Plunk does.
All right, looking at that Elysian Spells deck list here while we're waiting for them to get into game 2. The one thing that stands out to me is that Trick Throw, like you said, that nice new addition to this deck, both the Torgov's Wares and the Trick Throw, just to give a couple more spells, and Synergize is really nice. You know, it gets those snowballs for the Wumps, allows you to pick some things off, also allows you to get that extra spell. So with Conjure and Genev Dural Ascending, you can really get some extra spells without having to clutter your deck more.
Yeah, the nice thing about what PD's deck has going on is again so many cheap spells. Like so, you just when you're up against any kind of threat, you even if it's you might not have the permanent answer like a trick throw or a snowball to be able to kill it, but even if it's something bigger, you can use equivocate and you'll be able to delay it. And sometimes that can backfire on you. I mean, it felt like it came really close to in PD's last match where
Hmm.
equivocating got all of a sudden turned into something into a world pyre phoenix that then got replayed after it died. I mean,
Right.
so sometimes equivocate's going to make something that you don't have to worry too much about. You equivocate something into like a Lumen Shepherd, great. Who cares? It's a 4/6 vanilla, but sometimes it'll be big and nasty.
Uh, all right, Ilya, I think we still have you on here. Let me make sure that get you in here. You still there, Ilya?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, while
I'm
we're
still
waiting for
here.
game number 2, first of all, thank you again for hopping in there. While we're
My
waiting for them
pleasure.
to jump into game number 2, what do you think about this Elysian Spells deck? Not a new deck on the scene, but a couple fresh takes on it.
A couple of fresh takes, yes. But as you can see, there is definitely some give and take from really trying to surge up the primal and the power base for the possibility of the turn 2 Plunk, the super powered up Helio, the Giral, and then sometimes you just miss that first
Yeah.
time influence, and everything goes south very quickly. Uh, in Throne, power matters a lot.
Yeah.
So, the factions that are working with the nerfed Silex power bases, they're really hurting for paintings or even vows in some cases. So you could see a bit of that going on in that game. Uh,
Makes me think of the Boxer's old soapbox, right? The Boxer's always on the soapbox about like power is everything. Power is
it
your whole
absolutely
deck.
is. It absolutely is, because ultimately, if you're playing a turn behind or you're missing something for 1 or 2 turns, games in Throne do not last that long if you are not putting up active resistance. A lot of the great decks can either goldfish you by turn 4 or 5, or just get to an insurmountable advantage if you're stumbling. So get that power base consistent, and 12 or 13 sources of time is very low. To put into perspective, you ideal to hit 90% on turn 2, I think you want 16 sources. And when you're running with 12 or 13, you might have the occasional game that you're just locked out of any time influence for several turns. And
Let's
if
look
you
at the
miss that
deck
by
on the
turn
other
3.
side. Dark Revenger's deck here. I might make the early call that this is the deck of the tournament. It's the most popular deck of the tournament, and we've seen it do well in the early rounds. Dark Revenger's Skycrag mid-range deck. Have you played much with this, Ilya? What are your thoughts on this one?
So as soon as I saw Serpent Hive, which Team Rankstar does run, and Dark Revenger does not, so Dark Revenger not a member of Team Rankstar, I immediately said, hey, I want to try out this archetype. It's a really fun archetype to play, in my opinion. I do think that some cards here are just free wins. In some cases, like Plunk on the play, it really reminds me of the old 3/3 teacher of humility on the play. That, hey, you have this 2-drop that can just completely run away with the game, and if your opponent doesn't do anything about it, you just get free wins. And Plunk is sort of that. And Serpent Hive, which is not in this deck but in Team Rankstar's deck, great card as a flexible power. Maveloft Huntress, still a solid card, not as game defining as she once was, because you can get stuck on 2 without being able to play her. Through it. But if you're getting bogged down and your shadow opponent has recursion, that is a point of pain in some cases.
All right, Ilya, I'm going
And
to interrupt you again
okay,
because we got game 2 ready to go. So we're going to head down to the action, and we will be back with you in a little bit.
okay,
Thanks
have
for your
fun.
expertise. All right, here we go. Back into game 2 here. We've got Dark Revenger down here. Looks like PD on the play, going to draw a Primal Etchings, but Dark Revenger is the first one to hit the board, BK, because they've got that Lunk Wumpkin down on turn 2.
Yeah, and PD, similar story to game number 1, started off without time influence. They did have a strategize, but it did not deliver to them. Now, Dark Revenger on their third turn of the game is potentially going to combine multiple spells here to get this plunk through, because they don't have anything else going on right now. But Plunk could change that soon enough.
All right. You have Royal Decree here for PD as well. I'll have to see if PD goes for that attack into Royal Decree. Ooh, but we're
Yeah,
going to
PD
pop the
doesn't.
Aegis plus Torch. Dark Revenger's not even getting him the option.
Yeah, it's
Spend 2 spells killing that merchant. Interesting. It's aggressive.
it is. Now Geneva Merchant's going to be able to come down. Are we going to ditch the last time card in our hand? Yep.
Looks like it. This looks eerily familiar here, although at least this time the hand is all primal.
Yeah. Plunk still had one more bit of the contract to pay off last turn, so we can't play Jack and get it summoned this
Mm-hmm.
turn. But
Right.
I mean, this is just an awkward turn for Dark Revenger. There's no way to sort of have things go well. The question is, do you want to potentially do something like play a Jack without its summon?
Right.
Because otherwise, you're just going to be taking this turn off.
Yeah. And if you anticipate PD grabbing that Royal Decree, which I presume Dark Revenger thinks that's one of the options, they went to the market twice, so you're going to have to, just leaving that one block back to block. And
Wow.
it doesn't really even matter, right? Royal Decree
I mean,
going
this
to
is
come either
going to
way.
be incredible here. I wonder if Dark Revenger. I mean, it would have taken a lot. So to break down all the possibilities, if Dark Revenger attacks, the Geneva Merchant would probably block. Then you don't get the onslaught,
Right.
and now you don't have to worry about getting Royal Decreed for both copies of Jack. But this is
But yeah, now in the attack, not not even gonna throw in the block now. So holding the one back, the pumpkin plunk Wumpkin back. You're getting me with these names, BK. But yeah, this is gonna unfortunately snowball into Royal Decree is gonna be able to hit both those jacks. Ouch.
now it does mean that PD won't get to play their own Plunk this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly an important consideration.
All right, here comes that Royal Decree. Transform a non-power into seek power and onslaught. Transfer each other copy in their hand and deck. So all the jacks in the deck are gone for Dark Revenger. That made Dark Revenger's hand a lot worse.
Oh, absolutely. Now Seek Power is just going to thin the deck out of sigils as we've got lots of power and a bullseye in hand. Plunk's going to get to draw us a card. It'll be a Dazzle.
Okay, it's something. It's probably not the most high impact card that Dark Revenger wanted, but not nothing. All right, Primal Etching is going to get to go to the market for the 3rd time this game.
Yeah, if there's a way to pop Aegis from the market, we'll see.
There's no time influence in the market,
All
I
right,
don't
it's going
think,
to be
right? Just
Helio.
Helio, sure. Just your casual draw a bunch of cards.
That was a little bit of a curious decision by PD. I wonder why they exhausted the Geneva Merchant to the Primal Etchings and not the Plunk.
Yeah, play the plunk and then exhaust that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because now we're going to see Dazzle plus Bullseye deal with
Yeah.
Plunk.
Get an
So
attack.
our Plunk can get through.
All right, Dark Defender will take that, and then a nice draw with the Smuggler as well.
Yeah, good sequencing. So Dark Revenger will go into debt whenever Plunk attacks. You could take, or hits the enemy player, you could take 2 debt to draw a card. And
All
they
right.
are going to do that. It'll stop them from being able to play Helio next turn, but it kind of sets them up well. They'll be able to play Helio 2 turns from now when they have 8 Primal Influence. And
Edie
I mean,
again, really hurt and missing this time.
Drew, a double time influence card.
Not only
Yikes.
drew a double time influence card, also didn't draw any power, so they're stuck at 5, so they can't even play Helio to draw into it.
No.
That's really unfortunate for PD. Now, Dark Revenger, as you mentioned, did go into debt, so can't deploy their own Helio, but that's almost okay because it gives Dark Revenger potentially 2 turns to pump it up again if they want to, or play it next turn and then have Zhou the following turn. So lots of options for Dark Revenger here. Why not? Treasure Trove. Get something going. Skycrag's Silex with fully turned on. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, if PD doesn't draw out of this, Dark Revenger's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, I think if PD can manage to land Helio next turn, especially if it's off of like some sort of time
Hmm.
influence.
Hmm.
Nope. And now the Dark Revenger is going to get down first. I think the only question is there any chance you want to just throw down the Joe first? You know you've gotten
Yeah,
through the Royal Decree, and a 6/6 flyer is
that's what I'm thinking.
bigger.
Put your foot on the accelerator and start putting pressure on. But no, gonna go with the Helio here. Gonna refill the hand. Dark Revenger's got a pretty good hand right now. And also pop the Aegis and then just kill that. Yeah, that's what he's gonna do with the bullseye here. Open the tax. That's gonna put PD down to 11, and this game's over if PD doesn't find something this turn.
Yeah, and it was an obstructive flicker. I mean, this is. I think PD's going through the motions here a little
Yeah,
bit. Uh, you know, as Ilya pointed out, power is everything. Or I guess
yeah,
we were repeating the boxer. Power is everything in Throne, and it's true. I mean, it doesn't really matter how good your cards are if you can't play them.
yep,
They're not very good.
exactly it. Dark Revenger has a torch as well to heal to deal 4 more damage. Equivocate not going to do anything. The second game in a row, we see PD with a handful of time cards and no time influence, and Dark Revenger is going to end that one quick. Congratulations to Dark Revenger, and they were 2-0, right? That was a 2-0-2-0 match, so I believe Dark Revenger are going to start 3-0, puts them in a really, really good spot to make top 8.
Yep, a fantastic deck, this Sky Craig deck. That so certainly going to be a real contender as we start gearing up towards the World Championships. Maybe we'll see Dark Avenger potentially get there and run it back. All right, so looking at checking out another one of the matches. It looks like Mail and Netscape Navigator are just getting started with their game number 3, so we're going to
Nice.
check that one out. We
Do
got
it.
to see a little bit of Mail earlier today. They're playing one of the more mid-range takes on Cambrai. Lots of units in the mix. Jada Peacekeepers, uh, Sadides, Diana Faith Shields, up against Netscape Navigator, going with all reliable, just straight Huru Kira. Kira ascending with all of the primal goodies like Rhyme Conclave, Smuggler, Levitates, everything you'd come to expect.
Just the classic.
All right.
All right, so Netscape Navigator on the play is going to fire off that Kira on turn 2. You don't always see Kira on turn 2, but presumably knowing this matchup and saying that's fine, they're not going to throw a torch at it on the Cambrai ramp deck. So get that Kira down and feel somewhat safe with it sitting there. It's not like this Cambrai deck has a lot of point and shoot removal.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, though. There is a Defiance,
There
and
is.
you don't have to attack with Kira this turn. You're only getting
Right.
2 damage.
Yeah, it looks like Netscape
Wow.
Navigator going to play around it very well. Going to keep the Kira out, but not run it into a Defiance. Well played.
That is a very clever play by Netscape Navigator. Anticipating the Defiance. And now Mail could play out and enter the Monastery and just hold up Defiance, or we could see the Ikaria Valkyrie Captain come down, but they're going to go for that enter the Monastery play.
You're going to draw you 2 sigils and you get to play 1. So that does actually sort of ramp you that turn. So you get to keep that 1 up for Defiance. That part of why Enter the Monastery is such a good card. So nice play there. So now Netscape Navigator, check you again. Are you going to play it around it last turn? Are you going to play around it again?
The more turns that Mail passes with 1 power up, the more suspicious it's getting. Let's
Yeah.
just say that.
Starting off with drawing some cards off of Levitate. So that's going to draw 2 because the Kira is turned on, plus the draw card off of it. Stayer's Eyes. And
That Fearless Crescendo. Yeah, so now we will see the Defiance. We could see Fearless Crescendo and Silverblade Intrusion be played, but Netscape Navigator is actually going to let them both go. That way they can play the Rhyme Conclave Smuggler with Onslaught, meaning it'll get Aegis, Netscape Navigator gains an Aegis, and they get to go into the market.
yeah, that's pretty good. Although Mail is going to have times here to start playing out these Dianas. Builder's Decree, though, looks a little worse in the face of a Face Aegis.
Certainly does.
Start out with Ikaria and then immediately activate it to ramp some more.
Valkyrie Enforcer, a nice little pickup.
Nice draw there against a powered up Ikaria.
And we could see Netscape Navigator maybe go for something like a Fearless Crescendo plus the Enforcer, um, and sort of try to rule the air here against Mail.
They're
They're
going to play the
just.
Enforcer, and then they're not going to play the Crescendo. Just hold on.
I wonder if Netscape Navigator had attacked if Mail blocks.
Yeah. All right, first Diana going to hit the board, draw a Combray banner. Now 2 copies of Builder's Decree in hand. So Mail could, in theory, pull off a double Builder's Decree turn, one to pop the Aegis, the other to go all in on Builder's Decree if they want to at that point.
Right.
That's a couple turns away. Styre's Eyes, start things off. Discard the other copies of Styre's Eyes, and let's get some power because Navigator could deploy most of their hand with only 4 power, but they were stuck at 4 there for a couple turns, so gonna go ahead and get their 5th power down. Thanks.
And we haven't talked about that site they picked up, Endless Steps. It gives the most recently played unit of yours plus strength and health equal to its durability, and then its agenda. It's a 4 spell agenda: endure, 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 endure.
That's an
As you
interestingly designed card, PK.
as you are ascending the endless steps, you
I
keep on
gotcha.
enduring. Yeah.
Very Rocky. You do a dance at the top of the stairs when you get up the endless steps.
Yeah, that's funny. I am from the Philadelphia area and I do love Rocky, but I am not the person who started designing a spelled agenda with endure, 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 endure.
Another copy of Rhyme Conclave Smuggler drawn for Netscape Navigator. If they want, they can suicide attack in to get that onslaught, but they don't really need to do that here, of course. They already have the Aegis. But they can go to the market with it if they'd like. Gonna start with that Endless Steps. Gonna get our Rocky on here. We're gonna do some Endure.
Yeah, give one of your units invulnerable to damage, and now.
Now, BK, Endure does not give endurance, so you're kind of throwing me
No.
off here.
Yeah, you gotta. This is a deep strategy game, so we expect a lot from both our players and our commentators.
Out of the draw here for Mail. Also have that Desert Marshal that they drew last turn. Going to start things off by attacking that site. Pair of 2/4s coming through. Netscape Navigator, of course, has the easy block with 1. The 3/3 can block one of the 2/4s.
I'm a little surprised we didn't see the Desert Marshal silence the Enforcer, because it would have.
Build the site, yeah.
Yeah, we are making good progress. Also, worth noting that when you do get the endless steps' durability down, that ability also shrinks. So now the Styre's Eyes is only a 3/3. So you don't. This is one of those sites where you don't need to actually kill it all of the way in order for
Okay.
to reduce its impact.
So Mail firing off that Amplified Builder's Decree, which of course we knew that Netscape Navigator had the face Aegis, so not losing a card, but with the 10 Justice Influence, the 10 Influence here, is going to get a pair of 10/10s off of it. So paying in, not getting a card, but yeah, just basically a way to get 2 10/10s on the board is still a pretty nice play for Mail, and then a follow-up Builder's Decree, as we mentioned, in hand if they want some more. But Pristine Light is what Netscape Navigator is going to draw here, so see if Mail plays around that and does not fire off the other copy of Builder's Decree.
Yeah, and a really big thing there is by re-establishing their Aegis with that Rhyme Conclave Smuggler, they are insulated from the second Builder's Decree, and now that Pristine Light in hand could really swing the board back in Netscape Navigator's favor, especially if more Builder's Decrees or Jadas get played.
All right, all-out attack here for Mail.
This feels like a pretty good time to use Silverblade Intrusion to just soak up a bunch of damage.
Yeah. They're all going face, right? Not even, like you said, ignoring that site at this point.
True.
A lot of damage coming through.
Now
Yeah, Netscape Navigator going to take a bunch of it. Going to go all the way down to 8 on that attack.
Yeah, and Mail is is unlikely to overextend too much into the Pristine Light, but they did run out another Jada here.
Yeah.
One funny play that Netscape Navigator has at their disposal, they could potentially attack with that Rhyme Conclave Smuggler and then bring it back with Pristine Light. It's onslaught. I guess if you did that and attacked into the Jada, that's not actually a very good play.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jada, it's
It would
Well,
shrink
it's going
its
away, but yeah, it would shrink down.
attack so it doesn't die to pristine light.
So Pristine Light kills everything, including the Rhyme Conclave Smuggler, which can now get replayed.
Yeah, you can replay it, go to the market again, and get the Onslaught trigger again. So that actually works out pretty well for Netscape Navigator.
And we're getting pretty close to the agenda completing
Ooh,
from the Endless Steps, but with Coriovat Palace,
Palace.
it might not.
Yeah, you might just run out that Palace when you have a chance to.
Well, now this seems like, oh wow. So Mail does not go for the double decree.
No.
They just want to.
Well, I guess you still.
I get, yeah. This leaves up Desert Marshal,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Let's Netscape Navigator down to 4. I'm not sure Palace is actually going to do it, though.
No, this is looking very bad for Netscape Navigator. We could draw 2 here.
Palace is one of those cards that when it's good, it's like absolutely unbeatable. But if you're playing survival mode and just trying to live, then it doesn't really do that much.
Yeah, so Desert Marshal knocking the Valkyrie Enforcer out of the air is pretty much going to do it here. Yeah,
Yeah,
both the Dianas would get through, and Mail takes it down.
that's it. Congratulations, Mail. Well done to take that down. Pretty close with Netscape Navigator, but a nice 2-1 victory for Mail. And I think that puts Mail at 2-1 on the day, I believe.
So I jumped right back into another game. We got
Good.
Spifferific versus Popetito here.
All right.
This is actually game number 2 with Spifferific up a game, though I would
Okay.
say things are looking well. It's very close. Popetito's at 5. Who am I getting? This is a very close game. Yeah. So kind of we're used to the other way around, I would say, in this matchup where the Combre deck is losing and is winning on sort of board and cards, but losing on health totals.
Down to 5 already. Attacking in here with that plunk. Spifferific's just gonna let it go through.
So Popetito having 2 dazzles here. Oh, Grodov Stranger for Popetito. Very nice.
Nice. Also love this foiled out deck that Spifferific's got here. You're gonna play in the LCQ. bring your best versions of these cards. All right, speaking circle, let's roll the dice. What are we getting?
Blood Hunt, which Killer and Scout. That was the
Okay.
first one.
This is the real challenge, BK, of can you identify the cards in the half a second they're flipped?
Yeah, that would be Execute.
Execute, yeah,
Every
sure.
bit of damage helps here. Kill an
Yeah,
exhausted unit and deal
absolutely.
2 damage.
That's a pretty good one.
And what's the last part of this Speaking Circles agenda? Piercing shot.
Nice.
Deal 2 damage
All
to
right.
a unit and 2 damage to the enemy player. So we will see the Execute first. Will that get dazzled?
Yes. So Popetito gonna dazzle that, save themselves a little bit of health.
But now this game gets pretty interesting because I think Popetito really wanted to use the dazzle to just stun the Diana and get in, but now you have to deal with Grodov Stranger also being a thing. So they're going to start off the turn with Strategize. That'll pick up a Hurler.
Signia Snowball. Also, yeah, you also got to try to kill this site, right? Because each of those, it's going to get worse for you as it goes. Now, you could attack with both the Serpents, but you got to be really careful with your health total here.
Well, realistically, you could attack with Plunk too.
Sure.
If you want, the Torch. So we're just going to kill the Diana.
Torch and Snowball. Okay, so that's just going to take care of the Diana straight up. Then you only need to send one of your Serpents.
Right. The tricky thing is with the Dazzle, if you let the Grodov Stranger attack first, it already gets to draw a card. You would get to stop an extra attack the following turn. So it kind of depends upon how fast you want to try to close this game out. So they're going to stun right now so they can plunder now. That makes sense.
Seed of Fury, the draw. No point in attacking with everyone because it doesn't really work that way. Just need 3 damage to kill the site.
But a really big draw here from Spifferific. The Grodov Stranger.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's a good
plating.
one. You said this is a big draw, and you were right. Stormhall plating off the top is going to be able to take care of 2 of these big units.
I
That
mean,
is
this
exactly what was needed here.
we're almost completely at parity now. I guess the torch, because yeah, that can go to the face, and then you could trade off 2 serpents for this Grodov Stranger on the block.
Yep, that's what's going to happen here. Serpent Hive get 2 fresh serpents, but that Grodov Stranger is back, and to get that attack trigger, nothing Popetito can do about that.
They're gonna shuffle the cards back into their deck, including some Stormhall platings, which
Yeah.
got pumped up. I don't think there's that many Stormhall platings.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's that many.
I was like,
Because
"Ooh."
every single card in the void was a Stormhall
Yeah.
plating.
Well,
That's all right. Trade that
we get
off and play all up with the Diana. And now Shenra speaks, and another copy of Speaking Circle.
yeah.
It's not the first one that kills you, it's the second one.
Yeah. So this is actually pretty funny. The speaking circle already had an agenda. Because this is one that got reshuffled back into the deck.
Oh, interesting. So it doesn't get a new one? Oh, that's really funny. All
I
right.
actually I don't remember how that one worked.
That's really interesting.
I do. It's been a while since I've ever seen somebody redraw a speaking circle which had its agenda. I'm not sure if the agenda is what you already had, or
It's
if
amazing.
it resets, or if you get to pick a new one.
All right.
So that was a
Well,
weird end to the
that
round.
was a weird game, but take it. Is that the end of the round, it looks like? We still got another one.
Yeah, Spifferific won that one. So they were up a game.
2-0,
So
yeah.
so we could take a quick peek at the standings and then maybe take a
Let's
few
do it.
minutes to give our players a break. So we've got Dark Revenger, Frafa, and Spifferific as your 3-0 players. Oh, I keep clicking out of this. And then the other players at 2-1. So
All
12 players
right.
at 2-1 or better. And then for the players down at 1-2, you're really going to need to fight your best to get back into this.
All right, for those just listening, let's read a couple of these names off. So your 3-0s are Dark Revenger, Frafa, and Spifferific. We've gotten to see all of them so far today. And then your 2-1 players are Gurg APM, PD, Popetito, Jez2718, Male, Notorious GHP, Alex Fierro. I think there's a couple more down there, right?
Yep.
We've got,
Don't forget about Avion and
Avion
Gozu.
and Gozu. So all those players in pretty good shape. As we mentioned before, you got to get to at least 3-2, and if you're going to stick at 3-2, you're going to want some good tiebreakers. So 4-1 is really the safe place to be, and then a couple 3-2s might get in with good tiebreakers, but those are probably going to be the folks that start 3-0. So you're really trying to get those 4. If you're 2-1 right now, you're on a mission to just win the next 2.
Yeah, and a really important match coming up for these 3-0 players. There's a decent chance that they can lock up their spot in the top 8. So you can get off to a great start, and then these players, it's possible they will still be able to make it, but I'm sure they don't want to leave anything to chance if they were to lose out the rest of the way.
Yeah,
But
they're
certainly
essentially at
they've
a win and
started
in, right? So they win this one, they go to 4-0, and they're in. So.
Yep, and so all right, why don't we come back in a few minutes and we'll get the next round started.
Sounds good. We'll see everybody in just a few minutes.